spirituality is that important component in the success recipe.
What I later learned on is that pain actually in me of there's got to be a better way here. There's got to be a better way to achieve results and be spiritual.
Even if you don't have that connection, you cannot even be grateful, because to be grateful to whom if you don't have that relation?
The spiritual journey is a very short 1.5-foot path from your head to your heart. Yet it can take a lifetime. If you can see the path clearly in front of you, you know it's not your path.
Welcome to Mindset to Results. Today we have amazing guest in our show, Rich Strelovich. And he is a corporate sage, spiritual coach, speaker, and system thinker with over 40 years of experience in IT leadership and more than 30 years of deep spiritual exploration. Rich helps conscious professionals integrate spirituality into their corporate careers without abandoning ambition, leadership, or success. His work bridges inner peace with internal achievement, showing people how to transform their careers from a source of stress and disconnection into a path of growth, fulfillment, and authentic leadership. Hi, Rich.
Hi, Elena. It's such a delight to be here. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm also very happy to have you today as a guest, because I am very fond of spirituality and how spirituality connects and relates to human potential and success. And today's conversation is designed to challenge the way people think about work, success, identity, and purpose.
Great.
Yes, and before we start our interview, I would like you to share a little bit what make you so passionate about what you do, and how you, in such a beautiful day which we have today, sunny, yes, nice weather, and we are here recording this podcast, so it should be some passion behind it.
hmm
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about you, like what makes you even be today on this podcast, and share with people your knowledge, expertise, and your passion.
Sure. Well, first, a little bit about myself. I have been in the corporate world uh, 40 plus years, going from numerous different positions, starting out as a software developer, programming on IBM punch cards back in the day, and then moving up the ranks in larger corporations. I spent 30 years with IBM in my career, moving up into project management, program management, other leadership, a director level position, lots of different opportunities for leadership roles within the company. I had some P&L responsibilities, those kinds of things, and all the different challenges that you have in a corporate leadership role. On the other side, I've had a 30 plus year spiritual path that I've been following, and I tell people I didn't find the spiritual path; it found me. And near the end of those 30 years, it completely has transformed me in ways that I never could have expected. In learning how to actually integrate spirituality into who I am at work in a really profound way. And the first thing I always need to tell people is, how do you define, what is it that I'm talking about, spirituality? Spirituality in the corporate world, in order for it to be effective, must be practical. It can't be about lighting candles and chanting, although that could be your practice, but it must be practical. So what is spirituality that I'm talking about here? And it really starts out with spirituality is all about our relationship with Source. Or in my tradition, I'm going to call that God here, but Other people in different spiritual or religious traditions might call it the universe, the cosmic ocean, Allah, whatever honors your own tradition is great to use. And I'm going to use the word God here. And Pierre Teilhard de Chardin, who's a Jesuit priest, is quoted as saying, "We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience." And one aspect that you notice right away with that in spiritual then means there's something beyond me. There's something beyond us than just this flesh and bones and mind and emotions and all that we have here. There's a relationship beyond me that is in relationship to what I'm calling God. And the other parts of so spirituality is really about our relationship to God or the cosmic ocean. And if you're having that relationship to something beyond me, then I personally am, and many people are, then also really having a deeper questioning and exploration on the spiritual path of who am I really? What am I here for? What is my deepest purpose and meaning in life that's beyond, everything that I need to do to survive? What's my deeper purpose and meaning in life? And in the corporate world, how do I integrate that into my corporate world where I need to be performing at a very high functioning level and have performance results? How do they mesh and interact in all that? The spiritual path might be more about fulfillment, and the corporate career says it might be about success in some sort of way, and those two actually can combine. I did it the hard way over 40 years in the corporate world, but I lived that path very deeply and very strongly.
Yes, it is such an important topic because people sometimes when they are very busy and they focus on becoming high performance and achieve goals, sometimes they forget about spirituality. They think that it is maybe later. Yes, when they do important things, then they think about spirituality. But as you said, spirituality is that important component in the success recipe.
Yes, very much.
Yes, and many professionals achieve external success. Yes, yet internal, they feel disconnected and exhausted or unfulfilled. So here is a question. Why do you believe that spiritual disconnection has become one of the hidden costs of corporate success today?
Well, first I would have to say everybody, as the quote said, we're all spiritual beings, so everyone is already on a spiritual path. You might not know it or realize that you're on a spiritual path, and everyone's path therefore is also then very unique. I have worked with many people who really don't want to know about spirituality, and they're actually okay going in that kind of way. But for me and for those who I would call who are spiritual seekers, once the path is opened up and you realize there's more here to life than just going up the corporate ladder. Yes, the corporate ladder is necessary. Then something for me I found opens up, and I walk people through this, and that was for me I found it being a level of inner discontent. And that inner discontent was almost a silent voice that was going on inside me saying, the corporate world for me is really challenging and stressful. I'm needing to do things that are different from what my morals and values are, yet I still have to stay here. And that inner discontent was really painful. I was solving it originally by I was addicted and hooked to many self help books. And all the self help books and spiritual books that I was reading, wonderful, incredible authors. And they had wonderful things to say. But ultimately, they never solved that inner pain and inner discontent that was going on within inside me. What I later learned on is that pain actually in me of there's got to be a better way here. There's got to be better way to achieve results and be spiritual. It actually caused me to reach out and find other ways of seeking inner relief, whether that be I went through a energy healing training program, and I've been to meditation retreats and recharged on the outside. It took a long time for me to finally realize that inner discontent was a calling and a profound, deep calling that I didn't know what it was. But once it became very clear to me that I didn't find the spiritual path, it actually found me. Everything really changed quite a bit in how I perceived and looked at my job and started trusting the spiritual path that how do I integrate not leaving the spirituality of the meditation retreat where I was calm and peaceful at the door, but how do I bring it into who I'm being at work? And that was a journey. It's not a quick fix. But once you start that journey and path, you can't stop. It will gnaw at your heart until you actually take action for it. So I know that was a little bit of a long answer. I hope I answered your question there in some way, but I felt that the story was important.
Yes, yes, of course, definitely, definitely. It reminded me about Jesus' words, how he said that happy are those who understand their spiritual needs.
Mm,
Yes, this is shortly about what you said, because when people don't understand their spiritual needs, they cannot find happiness. Because
right.
this is how we were created. We were created with the need, yes, with spiritual need to be satisfied, the same way as we have a need to drink water or have physical food or anything else. Spiritual is the basics because when people have spiritual needs, they have that connection with creator, yes, and the creator is the source of life and everything what we have in this life. And even being grateful, yes, we even today we were sitting at the seaside with my daughter, and I was speaking like I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciate my life, like sitting here in this beautiful beach just opposite the house under the sun. So thank you, Creator, for this beautiful life you gave me. Yes, so this is even if you don't have that connection, you cannot even be grateful because to be grateful to whom if you don't have that relation? Yes, so this understanding that you are connected to the source which gives you life, which gave you all this beautiful earth and ability to see beautiful colors and this hear the songs of the birds and see the sunset. Yes, so it is so much that we can enjoy, and in this creation and being part and be grateful for this life because life itself is a miracle. Yes, and this is what gives the life the meaning because when we connected to creator, we start looking for the meaning, we start looking for the value. We are here as the image of God, so he created us also with ability to create something in our life, right? That is why we are given all these high mental faculties such as imagination, yes, and we can use memory even not for the past but also for the future to create something in the future, right? And this is how everything in our material world happened. And so I'm totally agree with you that this connection gives the meaning and fulfillment.
Yes, I love the way you put that also very much.
Yes, thank you. You often say that your corporate career is your spiritual path. The question is this: how can someone transform their daily work, leadership, challenges, stress, and still find the spiritual part and still find joy?
Right. Well, the first thing I think is you were just hitting on it before about the spiritual path. And I want to say it's not necessarily a very fast path. I love the quote where it says the spiritual journey is a very short 1.5 foot path from your head to your heart. Yet it can take a lifetime. But the path of it is walking the path toward knowing the divinity that we have within. And externally, that then shows up as a level of inner peace, full contentment, fulfillment, the joy and happiness or bliss that's already at the center of our core. That's already who we are, already, no matter what's happening outside you. So imagine you're in the corporate world and all the stress is happening, yet you've got connection to your inner core such that, yes, you still have to achieve the results that are needed and do all the things that are needed, but it's not affecting you. You're able to operate at a more peaceful, inner peace kind of level, and it's not throwing you or throwing me off of track. And I don't want to say never. I'm not sure the spiritual path mastery. I'm not quite sure what that is. I'm still on the path. I do get knocked off of it here and there with something where all of a sudden I forget, but then I come back a whole lot faster than I ever had before, and I reconnect to that core center that's within me. So I know we were going here. Can you just repeat a little bit of your question again? I want to make sure I covered all of it.
Yes, the question was that how someone can transform their daily work, leadership, challenges, stress, and also separate from their personal growth.
Okay. So the other part, there are practices on the spiritual path that I've certainly found that are very helpful. Whenever I work with somebody, the first practice that I really insist that everyone is committed to is meditation. It's almost like meditation, and whether you practice just for 5 minutes or 30 minutes, as long as you're committed on meditation is sort of like the container that holds everything that's all the different spiritual perspectives and parts of the spiritual path for you. So some sort of spiritual practice like meditation, and you maybe it might be, depending on who you are, prayer, contemplation, spiritual reading. Those kinds of things are the container holding everything. There are then, I call them, four filters or spiritual perspectives to start embracing on the spiritual path. And they are surrender, that is letting go, that not giving up, not taking action, but letting go of the outcome.
Mhm.
And so surrender, faith, that is trusting that everything is happening for me, not to me, that all the challenges and situations in life and at work are for my spiritual growth and development. So, can I really see that the boss who just told me I need to increase my sales quota 20% within this next quarter? Can I see that as happening for me? It's challenging, but faith is an important filter. So surrender, faith, patience. Sometimes things just take their own time in divine order when they're supposed to happen. I can work as hard as I think I should be and put in as much effort and action. And sometimes I've found a project that I worked on still didn't make its delivery date, no matter how much effort we all put in, or many other types of things. But patience, sometimes it's just going to take time in its own divine order. And the last is acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance with what is, no matter what is happening, acceptance with what is. When all those are happening all together, and you start mastering those spiritual perspectives of how you see the world, it changes everything into a level of inner peace and changes perspective of your identity of who you are. Because the truth is, in our identity, I'll quote scripture, Matthew, we are the light. We are divinity itself. And I can be that in the corporate world to still achieve results. I want to give a real quick story about myself and what I had to do to learn surrender here that changed my corporate world. I had received inner guidance on the spiritual path that I was supposed to take a 4-year energy healing training, which I did do, and that I was also to take a 4-year core energetics body centered therapy program. And I also went through a year and a half of coach training. And my sense and guidance was I'm doing these to get out of the corporate world and create my own coaching and healing and therapy practice, if you will. And I was raising a family, and I was starting to see clients at night while still working a full-time job. And I was making my own plans for what that was going to be. And then the world changed and the rug got pulled out of me. Our 3.5-year-old daughter all of a sudden was diagnosed with autism. And she completely stopped talking. And she would spend her days temper tantruming and spinning around. And we saw some excellent doctors who said they didn't think she was ever going to talk the rest of her life, nor would she ever be able to live independently. And really, the rug was pulled out of me from me and my wife. We were like deer in the headlights. The very next thing that I did was my plans, I completely shut down. I closed down my healing practice. And I completely focused on my corporate job and being a high performer because, one, I knew we needed a corporate level salary to be able to afford all the very expensive therapies that we were going to need for our daughter in helping her to heal. And we were in debt for quite a few years with all those therapies. And also for me to learn everything I could for my daughter and being service to her on therapies for her. And something miraculous happened from that. My wife and I started finding, I call them human angels, showed up in our life that we never could have expected, who helped us along the journey in the path, in therapies that just showed up that have made all the world of difference for her, and many, many other things to ultimately come to the place of she opened my heart, and her middle name fits her perfectly, which is Grace. And the biggest thing that I learned that this was necessary for me to understand and realize I'm not in control. I might think I've got plans and even plans in the corporate world, but I'm fully not in control of, I can make plans that I want to do this project plan and I've got 3 weeks to do it. And yes, I can do those little tasks, but the ultimate direction in my life is not up to me. Things might be happening that are for my inner growth and opening my heart in a more spiritual kind of way. And yes, the corporate world fits in that model of internally, nobody knows that this is my experience of I'm not in control, that I had to learn the hard way. But externally, I can now have a fully, completely different perspective on what I'm doing. That God's in control here, and I can relax, still work hard, but realize that something bigger is happening.
Yes, it is such a similar story which you shared with me because I didn't share my story much, but yes, I had also such time when I had to do therapy for my daughter.
Hmm.
Yes, and these moments are really very scary moments. Yes, when it is when you see a child in such situation, and when doctors tell that nothing can help, and you just have to accept what accept. Yes, and here spirituality helps a lot because you connect to not just you don't relate on your wisdom and your self. You connect to something bigger than you, and like you discover that power which you were not didn't know before. And yes, this is very familiar story to me because I just resonate with you because when the war started in Ukraine, and we had to leave very quickly because it started from the airport which was bombed near our house, just 2 kilometers. And
Mm.
yes, and then we left, and I will just tell shortly that my daughter had to leave her horse and horse club and her life. Immediately was very big shift for her, and then we came to England, and from the airport she couldn't walk. I had to take her on the wheelchair, and after that it came years of her going through depression and a lot of anxiety and other things when I had to be therapist for her also. Yes, so this is, yes, spirituality is not just emotional intelligence, because what you mentioned before, like different situation in life and people can solve conflicts, yes, having that emotional intelligence and being thoughtful. But spirituality is something bigger. It is really connection with the source when you become much stronger than you are, right? And this, when you have the faith, this is very important that you mentioned the faith. Yes, because the faith gives you that ability to see invisible. Like
Hmm.
in my cases, my daughter was in bed, didn't want to go out, didn't want even to wake up, to get up out of house. And I was telling her every day that she is genius, that she is born to impact the world, to help children to who also overcome this, to overcome this situation. That situation is given for her for a reason. That she is strong, and yes. So it took time, and it took the vision, right? Because it is very easy to just go to doctors and get prescription and start giving your child medicine, but it is not easy to believe that you can
Right.
help. Yes, that you can help and start acting and being for her strong, yes, not weak, and in short, in her mind, that vision that she can overcome, that she is genius, that she is strong.
Absolutely. And as this experience was happening for me, it also forced me to draw into a level of strength for myself to fight for my daughter that I didn't know I had in me. And that experience of the strength in that also translated at work too. That I started developing more of a strength at work to make hard decisions. So, sometimes it had to do with laying people off or being very, not confrontational, but yes, confrontational with people of things that had to be done. So the strength that I learned from that drew in other strength while maintaining an open heart at the same time. So spirituality doesn't necessarily mean soft. Sometimes it is rough in what you're called to in life and in the corporate world.
Yes, exactly. Because this is about standards, right? You have the standards, and it is nothing about being soft. It is being kind and have the values, but it is all about standards and about your level of tolerance. As you are when you are a spiritual person, you don't tolerate uh, uh, dishonesty, right, or some lower standard, because this is what who you like, who you are not, right, and you
Right.
accept only what you accept. Yes, and you mentioned about faith and patience. Yes, surrender. Surrender is so important. Yes, like my mentor Bob Proctor, he had the meditation about surrender. Yes, and I was
Hmm.
listening for so long. And he has also the book "You Were Born Rich," where it is a chapter dedicated to this topic. Let it go. How
Hmm.
important to learn to let it go. Really, like to have big goals. Yes, but not to be so much attached to these goals. Yes, just to have the big goal and just let it go. Just feel that it comes, it is already there, and instead of worrying and being anxious, like when it will happen, what is going on, why I don't see anything going on in my direction, just be like surrender, let it go, and just be happy and do what you can do where you are, and see what is the best step you can take in what you have in your situation with what, yeah, like everything what you have. Just focus what you can do, that one step in that direction, but with this really easy light energy, right?
Yes.
Because light energy will attracts light energy. If you think that things should be hard, yes, some people think like, oh, making money, it is hard. I have to work hard. And this is like when they create this belief and this heavy energy, that is where they find themselves. Yes, we look at people. Some people, it's so easy. They like just smile and enjoy life, and money come to them. And some people working hard and have so much stress, and always say that, complain that they don't have enough. Yeah, so
Right.
it's all about energy.
Yes. Yes. Very much. In terms of surrender, I love the quote by Saint Augustine that says, "Work as hard as if everything is up to me. Pray as if everything is up to God and the outcomes of which it really is."
Yes, yes, I really enjoy this conversation, and I think there is another word which you mentioned a lot, right? Like surrender, faith, all attitude, like patience. Yes, and I think that the word which I also wanted to add to all these very important words, yes, is attitude. Yes, because attitude, this is how you look at things. Things change. Yes, so
Yes.
the situation happen, if you think it is bad, you just look at what is bad. But if you just shift your perspective and look like what is good, because there is always good and bad in the same proportion, like the same equivalent of good is in every bad and bad in every good. Yes, so it is just how automatically we look at things. If we just uh, expect something and the situation didn't happen as we expect, automatically, yes, some people can start thinking, oh, it is just bad, why this happened, and when they start thinking that it is bad, they just go like down in that spiral. Yes, but
Right.
if you have that patience and reasoning, use your reason and say like, okay, this situation happened for the reason. Maybe I have to learn something from this. This happened to me. I mean, for me, right? Yes, for me. And then when you learn from this situation, this is how you can grow.
Right. Right. There's another word that I want to add into all of this with attitude there. And the way I work with people as we're looking at surrender, faith, patience, acceptance, attitude, I talk about they're not spiritual qualities that I can put together a project plan and say, I want to grow surrender to a whole nother level, or I want to grow faith to a whole nother level. There's a mystery in all of it. And that mystery is being led by grace. And there's a definition that I want to read of grace, which I just love here. Um, and this is by Cheryl Richardson, and she is a thought leader in the coaching industry. And it says, over time, you recognize that a benevolent force of energy has been available to guide and direct your life all along. I call this energy the unmistakable touch of grace. Grace leads us to the exact events and experiences we need at exactly the right time for our spiritual growth. And
Yes.
so,
Oh, mhm.
what I love about that is and how I work with it in the corporate world is now the recognition, and this is how I work with people, is now as I can say, okay, this situation that's happening at work, and there's so much going on in the workforce of the burnout, and I've lived burnout, toxic cultures, the constant drive for high performance, layoffs in corporate world. There are also many, many positive things that corporate worlds are doing here, and I've lived those too. But the recognize of changing in an attitude that grace is bringing forward those challenging situations for me to respond and grow in a different way, in growing surrender. It's like, I'm going to keep resisting it and I'm not going to surrender with this type of situation that keeps happening at work until finally I get burnt out and it's like, okay, God, I give up. I'm doing all I can. You take it over. I'm still going to work hard here. And all of a sudden, surrender has now come through in a new, different way that I couldn't have planned. And grace was leading the way to bring those situations at work perfectly in just the way that I uniquely need. Such that now, today, after 30 years on this spiritual journey, I can truly embrace and understand the quote from St. Teresa of Avila, which says, everything that happened in my life had to happen just that way, such that I may know God within. And I can now see how my life has been weaved in such an exquisite tapestry of all the challenging and good events that happened in my life to bring me to where I am today. And those spirituality doesn't stop at the corporate door, external in life at a meditation retreat. It's happening in your job right now because spirituality is everywhere, is every part of your life, including your corporate job.
Yes, it's you said it so good. Yes. Yes, so good. Yes, it is true. Like when we want to do everything ourselves, it this is where it becomes hard. But if we let do invisible forces to guide us and we surrender to this situation, it will be unfolded the way you never know. It is like when you wanted something big, right? And logically, I think everybody can relate to this. Like if you think about something in your life that you wanted something so much, but logically you knew you couldn't get it. Maybe it was very expensive for you and you couldn't afford. But every time when you wanted it so much, and just let it go and just say that, oh, I know I will have that. I don't know how, but this is really want it. I feel that it is mine. Yes, like for me it always happened that somehow situation was happening that I would get that. Yes, and it was I was noticing this from the childhood. Like if I wanted something really, like Napoleon Hill says, that burning desire, not just, oh, I wish to have that. Yeah, it will not work. But if you really want, like, have that burning desire, and that you just let it go and just say, okay, somehow it will work, but I really want it, and then you can see that this happens. So there were so many situations like this in my life that when we use that spiritual part, we don't know exactly how all these invisible laws work, right? Because our
Right.
logic is very limited. Even we don't use our brain 100%, right? We just having this brain, we just use few percent. So we are very limited in understanding from 3D reality how all these things happening. Yes, but when we understand that there is beyond 3D reality, yes, like there is something more, those spiritual laws, there's, which are also operating in a visible realm, the same
Mhm.
as we know that physical laws are operating, and we cannot deny something like electricity or height, right? So we cannot put our hand in the socket and say, "Oh, nothing happens, so I'm okay." Yes, so the same way there are so many spiritual laws which people don't know yet. Yes, but they all work. And when you have that faith, when you have your burning desire, when you do what you should do, like what is right, this is how things start folding in your favor. And also another thing, it is the saying, inspect what you expect. It's
Right.
like this is so important. Expect good things. Like whatever happens, even situation, even it doesn't happen the way you thought, but still accept it that this is the best way, and then
Mhm.
look later and see, yes, this is even better than I thought.
Yes. Yes, very much. Wonderful.
Yes, let's speak a little bit about corporate world again. Yes, because there are a lot of people who feel that they need to live corporate life to find purpose, peace, or authenticity. What would you say to someone who feels trapped in their career but is afraid to walk away because of responsibility, financial pressure, or uncertainty?
Right. Well, I guess the first thing I would say to them, and then when I work with people, and also as a reflection of my life, I didn't walk away. The corporate handcuffs can be very real, especially if you've got responsibilities in life for supporting a family. And personally, I am a testament to sticking with the harder path and spending a 40-year corporate career and ultimately finding out that was, I thought I knew what the path was. The spiritual path is also a pathless path. And I love how Joseph Campbell says it. If you can see the path clearly in front of you, you know it's not your path. Our, yeah, you got to smile there.
Yes,
Our path is shown to us one step at a time. And sometimes I then add a little bit onto that quote. And our path sometimes isn't shown to us until we're falling and hope that the path steps up for our foot to catch us.
oh yeah.
Right? And so, in that, there's not necessarily a right decision to leave the corporate world or not. There's only the path that you feel called to in the moment to stay or not stay. But as you said, attitude, the recognition that I can stay, I've still got responsibilities I need to fulfill in life in many different things, that I can then use that as in my perspective to use the corporate path as my spiritual path and know that it is, no matter what's happening, grace is bringing the right experiences to me for my own spiritual fulfillment and growth. Although maybe I am being called to leave and go and do something different. Everyone's path is going to be unique and different here. But what I would say to them is, in the moment, does the decision to leave or not leave right now feels like it's bringing you closer to God or further away from God? And that's the first place that I work when I work with people, and also my own spiritual advisor worked with me on in looking at what's the right path right now, to leave or not leave. And mine was to stay, and it can be a spiritual path too.
Yes. So it all depends on your goal in life, right? Like, what is the purpose in life? What is the goal in life? And how you can see yourself there. Because if you feel that you can do your own business, yes, and have that burning desire, yes, that you can try, right, to do that, and believe in yourself, right? So everybody can be successful. And
Right,
if the person want to leave corporate world, he should understand responsibility, because it is very different to work for somebody and receive salary and have that certainty, although maybe it is not always certainty because people
right.
are losing jobs as well, right?
Yep,
But anyway,
yep.
yes, that yeah.
I'm gonna say something that I'm careful with who I say it with, if they're ready to hear it. The spiritual path leads to a path of deep inner peace and inner contentment and fulfillment, knowing that you are connected to divinity and God within. And so, my purpose in life here that I've come to the place of is, and my mantra is, to feel and know God in every breath. That doesn't mean I live that today and I've mastered that. That's my North Star that I know. And so what I can now see and what I can tell people, my purpose and meaning, my work is not going, which is external, is not anymore going to give me my own sense of inner purpose and meaning. But my connection to source is. I've achieved many goals and I've bought many things and I thought that was going to give me a lot of inner fulfillment. And how many times have I found and said, now that I got it, that didn't satisfy me. It didn't fulfill me. Having other these kinds of things didn't fulfill me. But my own inner connection to myself and divinity within, now that radiates. And when I'm like that, I found that it affects other people in a positive kind of way. So I'm still working and I'm still achieving high results. In fact, I was a number one performer for quite a few years, and I got better at the spiritual in my performance because I was allowing more to come through me in intuition, in making good business decisions that I didn't quite have before. And when I did have to lay people off, as hard as that was, the people gave me feedback afterwards saying it was going to happen no matter what, but at least they had a manager who could hold them in compassion. It changed how I was in being effective in a high performing manager, but I was no longer seeking, I want a job that gives me inner purpose and meaning, because the inner purpose and meaning was now being drawn from the core of my being.
Yes, yes, very, very interesting perspective which you shared. Yes, and the goal is not only materialistic things, it is the goal to become who you're meant to be. Yes, so people who see themselves as you, right, as a very valuable uh, person in your company, because you can impact people who work there, right, and be for them there. So this is also can be very fulfilling, yes, because you know that you are there for the reason and you can do the best as you can what you do. Yes, and if the people feel that they don't feel that they belong to corporate, right, and they think that they can do something bigger outside and they can create their own business. Yes, so here you have to, if you relate to that who listening to us now, yes,
Yes,
here is very important to really listen to yourself and to your intuition and to your inner guide, yes, inner guidance. And if you feel that you are meant for that kind of life and business, go for that. Yes, because the worst is that when people don't do something because they're afraid or not like feeling that they're ready. And then the worst thing that they regret about what they didn't do. It is not that people regret about what they didn't, it didn't went well, and maybe they made mistakes, but most of people regret that they could do something that was important for them and they didn't do that.
Right, right. And I would say there's no right way. If you left to do something else, I've seen the example many times of people who left to do something else that was more fulfilling and immersed themselves maybe into an activism kind of way that makes a difference, and yet they burnt themselves out still because they were putting their focus externally of themselves and not first on the divinity within. And I would say who we are designed and meant to become is human and divine together. And so, yes, you can go and leave to do something more meaningful. And the spiritual path still is about creating your connection to your heart within, to your divinity, so that you're not losing yourself in something just externally outside of yourself.
Yeah, so true. It is not about outside, but it is about who you are inside. Yes, and
Right,
who you becoming. When you are doing anything or in corporate or for your business, but who you are becoming every day and how you discovering who you truly are, because you are not who you were told by other people. Yes, it is never the truth because they never know who you are. This is the only way to know who you are is to discover yourself, right? And this
right,
spirituality, this is a very important way how you can discover yourself, right? And
right.
yes. Great. So I have, I think, another question for you. Yes,
Mhm.
and I think we can speak for ages, Rich. Yeah, we can.
We could.
Yes, yes. So, you mentioned there a few, before we spoke, that yes, spirituality helps in making decision, in the solving conflicts. Yes, so there is also emotional intelligence, right? So let's speak a little bit like a difference between emotional intelligence and spirituality.
Sure, that's a great question. I'll use a little bit of an analogy. So you might be aware of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. It starts all the way from survival, and these are states of consciousness, if you will. It starts all the way from survival all the way up to the fifth level of self-actualization. And then there's different states in between. And on the top of my head, I'm not remembering them. There are many, many incredible models, if you will, in the corporate world. Emotional intelligence, positive psychology, there's positive culture transformation types of stuff. There are many leadership development kind of models. They are, I would call them models that are not quite at the self actualization level. They're under, not under that. I still don't like that word, under that. There's a trap in the spiritual path, and that is thinking that because the spiritual path looks like it's a line, ascension line going upwards, the trap sometimes is thinking, I should be better than I currently am. And yet I'm exactly in the right place and in the right consciousness state of where I'm supposed to be. In fact, my spiritual advisor would always tell me the consciousness state of where I am right now is the highest state for me to be in because that's where I'm at, accepting where I'm at. So the emotional intelligence wouldn't be at a state of self actualization, but one of the other kinds of states, which are the perfect things to be working on right then and right there in all the things around emotional intelligence. And I've studied it. I just can't remember the different parts of it right now. Spirituality would be more associated with, and the words are going to be tricky here, with self actualization. So it's the deeper path and connection to the core of who we truly are. We are the light. We are divinity itself that's already there. We just might not realize it. The key word is realized or know it because it's covered up with many, many other layers right now. So the spiritual path is allowing divinity to guide us and grace to guide us to uncover those layers such that we recognize our divinity within more and more. And so the other part of the tricky thing I would say here is that so spirituality is connecting more to that our relationship with God and spirituality and core of who we really are and is inclusive of learning about and embracing emotional intelligence both at the same time. It's said that many saints, Saint Teresa of Avila, lived in this mystical union state of everything is one and all, and she still loved the sacraments of going to Mass. She didn't need to go to Mass anymore because she was in that brilliant, enlightened state. And she embraced being in that state of going to Mass also. So the spiritual path includes looking at who am I at the deepest, deepest level and connecting to that, while at the same time not excluding all those things that we have in the corporate world around leadership development types of programs.
Yes, you said it so well, Rich. Yes. Oh, yeah. This conversation was very powerful reminder that success without inner alignment can leave people spiritually empty. Yeah, but when purpose, consciousness, and authentic leadership are integrated into our work, our career can become a path of transformation instead of survival. Yes,
Right.
so, thank you so much, Rich, for sharing your wisdom, experience, and perspective with Mindset to Results audience. And we are looking to speak to you again in the future episodes.
This was so much fun, and I really enjoyed getting to have this connection with you.
Yes, you're most welcome. And see you soon again in future.
Thank you.